Hi, I'm Matt Keys, publisher of thedesk.net here at the TV of Tomorrow show, and I am with Rob Folliard with Gray Media. Can you just say your title real quick?
I am Senior Vice President for Government Relations and Distribution at Gray Media.
I knew that was going to be a mouthful for me, so I'm really glad you were willing to do part of my job. Hey, Gray Media is one of these companies that I cover like a hawk. I love what you guys are doing with local content, right? Local content is one of those things that as a broadcaster really makes local broadcasts stand out. Especially with sports. You guys are doing some very interesting things with sports. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, local is what we do best. That's our bread and butter. So we are always looking to double down where we can do more local. If we can get rid of some syndicated content and add local, we want to do it because that's what differentiates us from our competition, whether it's national streaming companies, all the other players that are out there, we're the ones that do local best, and sports is an extension of that. So in several markets in Phoenix and in New Orleans, we've got the full package of NBA games for the local NBA team, the Suns in Phoenix, the Pelicans in New Orleans. So we run all the games, and not only do we run them in Phoenix, we run them on our station in Tucson and in our station in Yuma, Arizona, so we cover the whole state. Same thing with the Pelicans. We cover the whole state of Louisiana. We provide, local sports, and, it's not just, the full package. We've got a ton of different smaller packages, little bite-sized packages, like with the Atlanta Braves. In our home market of Atlanta, we've got a package of 25 Braves games over the summer and then we run them all throughout the Southeast, where we've got stations in, practically every market in the Southeast. The teams love it because we give them much more reach than they've been able to get on the RSN. So they're able to cultivate the casual fan, the diehard fan.
And reach them on free TV.
Yes, absolutely. And a great anecdote is in Phoenix with the Suns. When, the first week that we were broadcasting Suns games last year, we got a message from the local Navajo tribe that we have a translator that covers their reservation in Arizona, remote part of the state, and they said for the first time we've been able to watch the Suns. They previously had to listen to it on the radio. They could never actually watch them, but because we are providing it for free over the air, all of a sudden the Navajo Nation was able to watch their local basketball team, and it's a great service to be able to bring sports that people love, and all you need is an antenna.
And what I think is so interesting about what Gray is doing is you're not just making these deals with local teams to bring their programming to over the air, but you're actually creating like what would be the broadcast equivalent of a regional sports network. These are branded. Yep. You're co-opting not only your stations, but also reaching out with some partners in some areas where it makes sense to really give local sports broad exposure on free TV, and that's what's making Gray stand out from really the rest. But also in local news, you guys are doing some really interesting things in local news. And there was a big story, I believe it was earlier this month, we're filming in June, where you're losing the CBS affiliate on one of your stations, but that's giving you an opportunity to invest more in local news.
We can double down on local, and that's what we're going to do.
And what has the response been? It's Atlanta News First, right?
Yes, Atlanta News First. And, we rebranded the station a couple years ago as Atlanta News First because that's what we do. That's what we do best is local. So we figured let's align our branding with what we're actually doing and what we, how we see ourselves as the top source for news for Atlanta. If you're in Atlanta and you want local news, we want you coming to us because that's what we do.
Fun dinner party trivia. Gray also owns Ted Turner's first TV station,
yes,
right?
Yes, we do. Absolutely. WPCH, Peachtree TV. So another, it's a local initiative as well. I mean, sure, it's got some syndicated content on there, but we also are programming that as another local Atlanta station. Again, doubling down on what we know how to do, and to use that station to, again, provide more local content for folks, including whether it's sports like the Braves or the Atlanta Dream, the WNBA team, or even, more smaller local sports as well. In a lot of markets, like in Texas, high school football, we're getting as much of that on the air as we can. Yeah, it's something that no one else really can do, and it draws an audience too. High school football kind of popular in Texas, and we love.
Oh, very!
broadcasting.
I lived in Texas for a while,
Yep.
and yes, they'll blow out the Friday night programming
Yep.
to carry not just the games but also the highlights. They dedicate whole blocks in their local news to high school football.
Yeah.
And that's Texas is not an anomaly. There's several states where where that's the case.
Oh yeah, absolutely. High school football or high school basketball.
And the networks are not going to cover the high school game. That's going to be the local stations.
Nor will Google, nor will anybody else. Amazon isn't going to do it. Apple TV isn't going to do it. We're the only ones who can do it. And you get to see your kids play on TV. That's
right.
Part of what we do.
Anybody can shoot a game with their phone, but having the local TV station show up still gives a sense of legitimacy and a sense of pride that I don't think any other platform can really do.
No.
So your space, you live and breathe government regulation as your job. And certainly we're living through an interesting period in time on the regulation front. The industry is really pushing for deregulation more than anything to a large extent. What's the best case? What's the best argument for deregulation? What is it that they're trying to do, and why do they need to do it?
We are at, this quote's been used a million times where Chairman Carr said it's a break glass moment for local TV.
And we're talking about the FCC chairman.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, the FCC chair, Brendan Carr, he called it a break glass moment for local TV, and he's exactly right. We're at a precipice where we can decide, do we want local TV to continue to exist? Do we want local news? And, I think the answer is yes. We want all the local content that we're able to do. The only way that is going to continue is if we get some deregulation, because it is very expensive doing what we do. There is more and more competition, more and more fragmentation. People have all sorts of choices to go to. It's not the days of just a handful of TV stations that people could watch, and that competition, great, we all love competition, but that means people can go elsewhere. And if we don't have scale, if we don't have the ability to, add more scale locally, to sell more ads, to do more with more stations, the math stops working.
And just to be clear, the current regulation, and a big part of the argument right now is that under the current rules, broadcasters that own the TV stations that have licenses are limited to reaching less than 40% of the American viewing audience. And the argument has been, broadcasters can't really compete against these giant tech companies that are not restrained in a similar way. So the lobbying group has said, let's just get rid of the cap, right?
Yeah, and you've got two issues, really. You've got the national cap, so that 40%, you only reach 40% of the homes. But frankly, more importantly, are the local restrictions, where in most markets, there is the same rule that has existed since 1942, which is you can only own one full-power TV station in a whole host of the country. That rule hasn't changed since before Pearl Harbor. And Google is not restricted by only being able to sell a certain amount of local ads in a local market. So Google gets unlimited. Fun fact, in pretty much every single TV market, Google sells more local ads than every TV station combined in that market. So they are the big behemoth, completely unregulated, whereas we're stuck with, hey, you can only own one TV station. And in bigger markets, you can own two. You're restricted on what type of content you can provide. If you've already got the CBS, then the FCC says, okay, that's enough for you. You can only have CBS. We're not going to let you have the Fox as well. In many markets, we've figured out ways to combine them, and to own a CBS and a Fox. When we do that, the economies of scale, having one building, because we only need one building, we only need one control room, all of that equipment, we only need to buy it once, we can add more local news on the second station. So a great example is...
And you get to keep 100% of that inventory, whereas
in local news, yes.
with network programming, with syndication, there's a lot of sharing.
Yes.
So the economics are better the more you're able to produce local
Absolutely.
news and local content
Yeah,
to be able to go and sell.
Great example of this in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. We got a special waiver from the FCC to combine our existing ABC with the NBC. Mm-hmm. And once we combine them, at the end of the day, today, there are more hours of local news on both stations after we combine them, because again, economies of scale, we could do more. More hours of news, that means more local ads. So more local ads, supply goes up. When supply goes up, prices go down. Advertising prices in Sioux Falls after the combination are lower today because there are more ad units for sale. So that's better for local businesses. They can get on quality broadcast television at a lower rate. We sell more of them. So, the old we'll make it up in volume. We do make it up in volume. So we make more money. Advertisers get lower prices. We're able to fund more local news. In Sioux Falls, after we combine those two stations, there are more newsroom employees today than there were before at both of those stations. So you can't just add 30 more hours of news on your stations and say, go get them, guys. You got to hire people to do it.
Yeah.
So we hired more people. So again, the whole idea that, it's you're going to merge, you're going to cut and slash, and not true. That's not how it actually works in practice, because in practice, when we're able to combine things, we can do more. When Tom Yamas is running the national NBC news, on the NBC, we run local news on the ABC. And then same thing, when David Muir comes on ABC with national, then we'll run local on the NBC. So if you want national, great, we've got it. If you want local, great, we've got it. We let the viewers...
And there's going to be more opportunities as the regulations are refreshed and reformed. And boy, I could talk with you all day about government regulations. It's a hot topic right now. We are out of time, but let's keep the conversation going on other platforms and stay in touch. Thank you so much for your time
absolutely.
today. It was
My pleasure.
great meeting you.
Yes, very good. Thank you.